Hey, what's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome into Fantasy Filmball, the show where we turn movies into sports and sports into something we don't talk about here. My name is Matt.
My name is Dyl, and we are continuing this series of November Oscar predictions. These are going to be like our last real predictions before we have some real guilds and some awards bodies saying, hey, this is what we think are the best of the year. And today we are diving into director and both screenplay categories. Go check out the channel, subscribe, like, comment, because Matt put out his top 26 and best picture, and we agree for the most part. We had 9 out of 10 the same. We had one different. You have to go find out what that one movie was. But let's dive into stuff today with director, and I feel like I've had Nolan at number 1 since we got reviews for Oppenheimer, and he is going nowhere. I'll be surprised if he loses more than, let's say, 2 awards bodies like this season. Like, he'll win even like the small regional critics groups. Nolan is sweeping everything.
I wouldn't be as certain. I think it's likely that Nolan sweeps, but there still is that lingering possibility that Yorgos Lanthimos does come through with how big of a visual achievement Poor Things seems to be. But I think you're right. I do think that Nolan probably just takes it all. I think it's probably going to be a Guillermo del Toro level sweep where he just cleans up from awards body to awards body over and over. I think you're probably onto something with that.
I mean, it could even be to the Chloe Zhao level where it's literally everywhere. Because I think I remember a stat where Chloe Zhao set the record for like the most director wins. Nolan may not hit that because like some indie bodies may be like, no, we're gonna go elsewhere because you're not eligible. And like you said, Yorgos is my number 2. I guess if Nolan lost somewhere, it'd be to Yorgos, maybe. Who knows? And Marty, he's not gonna win anything, but he's here. He's along for the ride. Unless something crazy happens, he is going to be nominated. I feel like I've had at least 2 of this 3 all year long. I had Yorgos when we started this, then I dropped him when this movie had the September release date, and then he came right back once it moved to December. One thing to stay for next year, confident in a movie, keep it. Who cares about release dates? Now, that's where this category gets interesting. As you see here, I have Greta Gerwig at number 4. Talk about her in a little bit. Because Glazer, I think, is more in for a nomination. He honestly should be my number 4, but Zone of Interest, people walk out of this movie, everyone, people who love it, people who are mixed on it, people who hate it, they all say it is a feat. It makes me think this branch will eat that up. Glazer will get the nomination. Yeah. Plus, you brought this up on our last director predictions, there's always at least one fresh face in this category. And you look at the fresh faces this year. You have Glazer, you have Celine Song, you have Justine Triet, you have Blitz, you have Cord. And who screams the most like a nomination there? To me, it's Glazer, head and shoulders above the rest. Now, that's where our open spot is. I think this will be with a returner. I lean Greta Gerwig because I think Barbie will be very much received well from industry. I think the industry will back this up. PGA, SAG, BAFTA, Golden Globes, Oscars as well. I can understand why you may not have her in now, but once she gets the Globe nomination, once it maybe wins PGA, once it maybe wins SAG, once it gets to that BAFTA, you'll be like, oh, she was obvious all along. Why didn't I have her in? If you wanted to take her out, though, I've heard people talk about Alexander Payne for Holdovers, but as you talked about in Pictures video, Holdovers is not top 3 like all his other directing nominations were, plus he's not really doing anything revolutionary here. Past Lives, Celine Song, I just think it's too small. Justine Triet, Anatomy of a Fall, I think it missing international hurts it here. Does it hurt in other categories? Not as much, but here is where I think it hurts the most. Plus, they have Glazer. Why would they vote for Triet? Maybe they both could get in, but a year this stacked, I don't think they both can coexist. And we haven't seen his movie yet. No one's seen it yet, but Blitz for Color Purple, small chance. That's why he's my number 6. Is if this movie comes out, it is this bold new version of Color Purple like the marketing says it is, there's a case he's in instead of Greta. But until it comes out, he's on my outside looking at it, and have all those Gold Derby players out there. If you want sweet odds, he's 100 to 1. Hold it for like 2 weeks, and then you could pick up Gerwig, or you could pick up whoever you don't already have in for they're 7, they're 8, they're 5 to 1. It's not as good, but hey, Blitz for the 100 to 1 right now could work out really well, like Yorgos did before it came out in Venice. And I feel pretty good here. Bradley Cooper, someone who, if Maestro is more like better received, I feel like would be a shoo-in. But there's Marty, there's Yorgos, there's Nolan, there's Glazer, there's one spot. And I just don't see Cooper being that one spot for Maestro, even if his direction is one of the highlights of the movie.
Well, just to go, that was a lot of stuff. I'll try to address some of it. But Greta Gerwig, you know what she's reminding me of right now? Do you remember how people talked about Daniels last year?
Yeah, Daniels is a good comp. I would also say Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, where people are like, it's not happening until it starts happening. Everyone's like, it was obvious. Why didn't I see that ahead of time?
Well, the thing with Daniels specifically is that early on in the year, people kept saying Everything Ever All at Once is a screenplay movie. It's not a directorial achievement, it's a screenplay movie. It'll get screenplay, and it won't get director, and that's just what it is. And I've heard a lot of people say the same thing about Barbie. It's not a directorial achievement, it's a screenplay movie. Like, have you seen Barbie? Have you seen the visuals of that movie? Like, Gerwig is doing so much. And yes, it is a screenplay movie. The screenplay is very strong. That doesn't mean it's not strong in director. It is a visual, like, fantasia. She is doing crazy things, working with the production design, the costume design, and just building this world and the interconnectivity of this world. To me, I don't get when people are saying that because the film's strong in screenplay, it can't be strong in director. It is evidently both a screenplay and a director movie to me. And just people are jumping through hoops to put Alexander Payne in over Greta Gerwig.
Their same case for Payne and Holdovers is like, oh, screenplay, director, he never misses. But Gerwig is showing more. At least both of us would agree with that, and I think other people would too.
It's showy direction.
The Holdovers would be like, oh, it's well written, but like it's giving us that old style vibes, but it's not really because of his direction. It's because of like the cinematography, the editing, the production design. As you mentioned, Gerwig is doing so much here. Plus, we can't underestimate this. This is the movie of the year. People love this movie. It's made so much. Critics love it. Audiences love it. The IMDb bombing of this movie, but that's not accurate. Barbie made a splash. People loved Barbie due to its directing style because everyone's like, oh, Barbie's just going to be a toy commercial. And Greta came in and elevated what a toy commercial could be.
Yeah. Honestly, I just think that Barbie is both a directing and a screenplay achievement. And it's possible she misses, but I think the narrative of her being the first solo female director to reach $1 billion, box office doesn't really matter, but it does. And I do think that label of her being the first solo woman to reach that milestone is important.
My question to you would be, is DGA never goes 5 for 5. Marty, Nolan, Yorgos, they seem in there. Do they venture to Glazer, or do they leave Glazer out?
No, the DGA doesn't go for the international director. They didn't go for Oostland. They will go for like Bradley Cooper or Cord Jefferson. And Cord Jefferson's getting Golden Globe. I feel very strongly about that. He is Peter Farrelly. He is like Adam McKay, Don't Look Up. He's that person that gets in, even though everyone's like, why the hell is that direction getting a nomination?
Yeah, as someone who loves American fiction, a director nomination would be like a little too much for me to get behind, especially in a lineup that's this deep. But if it does become a Best Picture frontrunner, it is winning all of these awards, Cord could come along. So he would be my number 11 at this moment.
Wouldn't you say the same thing for Peter Farrelly, who did get the Golden Globe and I think did get the DGA nomination?
I would say the same thing, but again, if I was doing predictions back then, I would not have had Farrelly until he got the nomination. It would have been something like, maybe, but not until I actually see it happen. And to me, if Cord gets in, that means Greta is out. And I think they're kind of vying for the same spot here. Like, I don't think Cord would take Glazer's spot. He wouldn't take
I'm not talking
spot.
Oscars. I'm talking DGA.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. DGA, to me, seems Cooper is the one that doesn't make it into the Oscar. I think he's just showcasing so much. And
Cooper totally could be. Cooper could be the one, but I think it's going to be Cord because, I mean, I just see so many parallels with Peter Farrelly. You know who I think you're writing off, and you are going to tell me I'm very silly for this one. Andrew Haigh
you're silly for this one.
Andrew Haigh could be the Jonathan Glazer replacement. If there is someone that takes out Jonathan Glazer, it's Andrew Haigh, because All of Us Strangers.
There is a Glazer replacement. I would put I'm gonna blank on their names, but Taste of Things and Perfect Days directors above Haig currently. If they're gonna pull from another
no.
international branch type vibes, I definitely think Taste of
Bruh.
Things can make a great case for that. And Perfect Days, I'm gonna keep saying it. Perfect Days, I think, is to be the most crowd pleasing movie of the international lineup.
What would it take for you to put Bayona in?
Uh,
BAFTA nomination?
BAFTA long list would maybe creep in, but he may slip in earlier if we get Globes nominations and like Song or Trier just are not there at all. Because I feel like one of them could get in a lineup of 6 at Globes. Because I don't think they would do Glazer at Globes. I think he's out of Globe. And
Yeah, Glazer is exclusively going to be nominated. He won't even make Critics' Choice. He's going to only be nominated at BAFTA.
And I think Nolan, Lanthimos, Scorsese, Gerwig are 4 of our Globes. It's just who are the other 2? Is it Blitz? Is it Cord? Is it Song? Is it Trier? I think Globes will like Past Lives, and maybe she could be like, hey, pop my head up, but I'm gone the rest of the year sort of thing. But
Globes to me is your top 4, Nolan, Lanthimos, Scorsese, and Gerwig. And I think they're going to go head over heels for American Fiction. So Cord Jefferson is my number 5 at the Globes, maybe even higher actually at the Globes. And the last one, I don't think it'll be Blitz. I think it's going to be Cooper. Cooper, maybe Payne, but I don't think Payne. Payne would probably be right on the outside of my Globes lineup.
Let's dive into a category where I think there's a lot to talk about here, and that is Best Original Screenplay.
I am going to take this category, but I hate this category so much this year. What is there in this category? I don't know. It's painful. It hurts my head, and it hurts my heart, because what the hell is happening here? I can barely make a field of 10 that feels strong and feels correct. This is not good. I don't like. Anyways, though, Barbie is my number 1 here.
As it should
be. We don't know that Barbie is going to be original. We know that Warner Brothers is campaigning it in original, but it's very possible that the Academy goes, no, that's not original. Sweetie. Nuh-uh. That's adapted. And so if that happens, then we're screwed. Like, what do they do in original screenplay if Barbie is not here? I don't know. But Barbie is a quintessential screenplay winner. It's original. It's unique. It's fresh. It's really out there. It's a film unlike stuff we've seen in the past. It is full of creativity, and it's funny, and it has a message to say. And all of that feels exactly like a modern day original screenplay winner, and nothing else in this category does. So what the hell are they going to do if Barbie gets booted from this category?
My case is if Barbie gets booted, we go to what happened and adapted last year, and they just take the best written script and they just take what is the critics pick, and that would be Past Lives. I currently have Past Lives out of picture, but a Barbie, because we would know before Oscar morning of Barbie's original adapt because there's precursors. And if Barbie isn't adapted during the precursors, I think Past Lives shoots back up to number 1 and it slides in the picture a la Women Talking. Picture, screenplay. I think Past Lives could also add something else, maybe score, but maybe it's just like Women Talking, miss a score as well. 2 nomination movie. But from when the movie came out to almost a whole summer until the talks of Barbie moving over to original was Past Lives is winning this. It's the best written movie of the year, blah, blah, blah. And I know you and I were not the biggest fans of it, but we still appreciated it. I think that if Barbie goes back to adapted, Past Lives moves up to number 1. But if Barbie stays in original, Past Lives is not number 2. It's a little bit lower down because it could, I know crazy talk here, could miss.
Well, Past Lives, for me, I don't see this overtaking even the holdovers, even if both of them are in picture. If Barbie's out, I do think the holdovers wins, just the default for it being a sweet, crowd-pleasing, charming comedy. It reminds me of a Belfast-type winner. Now, that would be weird in a year like this, because this year is so much stronger than when Belfast won, but the category sure as shit is not strong. And yeah, the holdovers, I love the movie. It's just the type of script that they awarded decades ago. It doesn't feel like a modern day winner to me. But I do think it's stronger than Past Lives because I don't think Past Lives makes it into picture. Even if Barbie moves to adapted, I don't think that gives any additional boost for Past Lives.
At least to me, Women Talking was a French contender last year, and the reason why I think it made it into picture was because it was winning adapted in people's minds, and then it went on to win adapted, which is not a crowd pleaser type movie, which you could say comedy like Glass Onion is, which some people thought maybe at one point could win. I know All Quiet ended up being the runner-up, but I don't know. I think original, you say it's hard to fill a 10. I think it's easy to fill a 4, and sure, 5 slot is different. You have one of my 4 on the outside looking in, but I think at the top 4, it feels pretty good at this moment, and your 5 is just what's going to be our solo screenplay nominee in this category.
To address the women talking thing, I don't think that voters think about things that way. I don't think that any voters are looking at it going, well, I think that's going to win this, so I should put it in my picture. But yes, I've got May December following that up at number 4 and Air at number 5. Now, May December is a challenging title. It's a bit of a unique, very artsy screenplay, but it's got the budget of a Netflix movie backing it up to get it that nomination, to get it that recognition. I think it's going to get a ton of critics' love. It's probably going to get a lot of Golden Globes love, too. I could see some Critics' Choice, maybe some BAFTA, and that being the path for it to get into original screenplay. Now, Air is the polar opposite of May December. While May December is challenging and difficult and uncomfortable, Air is easy to like. It's easy to cheer for. It is the King Richard of the category. It is the crowd pleaser that people want to root for. And that's why I see it here over Anatomy of a Fall, which is my number 6, which I don't see the writer's branch really going for this. Now, stranger things have happened. They did go for the worst person in the world a few years ago. So maybe I'm wrong and the writer's branch is cooler than I'm giving them credit for right now. But to me, Air feels more like a nominee than Anatomy of a Fall does.
I have Anatomy in for what you just mentioned, worst person a few years ago. Plus, I think this will perform well in the precursor circuit, especially when we hit BAFTA. And my 5 slides between May December and, I guess, again, Nike Air. I have Air on the outside looking in just because I just feel like it's the weaker movie overall. And I think if you look at both scripts next to each other, and if you go with actor support as well, I think May December may lean more towards that area. Plus, you already have a lot of other comedies in this category. You have Barbie, you have Holdovers. May December also could kind of be a comedy too. And then you have Air. You're really going to have 4 comedies out of the 5? Not really sure. And I don't know. I feel like May December is one where it is either so in or it's out. And then once it's out, you know exactly why it missed. I think it will have a very interesting critic circuit as it goes around and see where it really hits and where it doesn't. I feel like this is a movie that either at a nomination body is like, oh, supporting actor, screenplay, maybe picture, or it's nothing.
I could see Anatomy make it in over Air. Anatomy is a stronger film overall than Air, I think, but just to me, I don't know. This is just my gut feeling. I'm probably wrong about it. But Maestro feels odd to have at my number 7 spot here because it is a major picture contender. So why is this not in my top 5? And, well, I mean, you can probably talk more about this, but apparently the screenplay is just the weakest part of the movie.
I would fully agree with that, and I think everyone else who saw it at the Virginia Film Festival also agreed, and people who have seen it at other film festivals also agree. I just think, like Elvis last year, this is just the Best Picture nominee that just misses screenplay. It hits everywhere else. Like Elvis, it will get into actor, it will get into makeup, it will get into cinematography, maybe even editing and sound. Like, this could be one of those easy slide into the 5th slot categories, and a lot of categories, just screenplay is just like, no, we just don't think the screenplay is that strong, so it goes out, and plus, movies like Air, May December, Past Lives, Holdovers, Barbie, Anatomy. A lot of people can say the best part of those movies are their screenplays, and I feel like that's what keeps Maestro out at the end of the day. But if they do love Maestro, and Maestro is a top 5, top 4 player, maybe it's actually in a screenplay.
I would agree. I think Maestro has a strong climbing argument there because it's possible people just like the movie enough that it makes it in. Alternately, it's possible that it's Mank, and people even though it makes it in everywhere, it doesn't matter about the screenplay. They're not putting it in screenplay. It doesn't make WGA, it doesn't make BAFTA, and it doesn't make the Oscar. And that, to me, feels right for Maestro. After that, there's Saltburn, there's Rustin, there's Origin. I don't feel confident about any of these. Just like I don't feel confident about Asteroid City, The Iron Claw, or Napoleon.
Yeah.
I don't know what to... After number 7, I don't know what to do. I mean, maybe 8, because Saltburn does feel quite strong in the top 10.
I think original's strong up top. It's just when you get past, I would say 6, it just nosedives off a cliff. I think for your list here,
it's strong at number 1, and below that it's weak.
Origin's one where I think it does get deemed original compared to adapted. It could maybe surprise at some places being that 5th slot, because it's a movie where if people love it, they really love it sort of thing, and the script is maybe what works best when it's trying to be more informative with what it's trying to communicate, but also it's sort of based on something while also not really being based on it. So it's one of those where maybe it's original, maybe it's adapted, just like Barbie, but I think Origin, either category.
Origin is original. They're campaigning it original, and the argument is that it's not based on the book, it's based on the experience of writing.
Well, speaking of Origin, I also have it in my adapted screenplay top 10 because it could maybe be deemed adapted, so it's all the way down there at number 10 for the same reasons. But here, top 4 I think are pretty solidified. Oppenheimer, Poor Things, American Fiction, Killers of the Flower Moon. Take your pick of that order. Currently, I still have my Oppenheimer sweep happening,
No,
but
Oppenheimer's a boost.
I hear your take for American Fiction, and I'll come around once I see it win something over Oppenheimer. Poor Things, like I've said, very much since its finished revival and since it got pushed to later in the year, I think this is a strong possible upset. I just don't see where voters will cling to it as a number 1 in a lot of different categories. But it's here as my number 2. American Fiction is my number 3. Killers of the Flower Moon is down from number 1 to 4 after watching the movie. I still think that angle of how Roth and Scorsese rewrote it from the Osage perspective, even though it's not really from the Osage perspective.
It's not from the Osage perspective at all.
But that's what they're pushing out there, and if that clings on, maybe. But if this was not such a strong adapted screenplay, it could work. But this year is just too tough. I think if Killers was an original, maybe it could stand a chance against Barbie, but here in adapted, I don't think it has a shot to win anymore. That's where this category gets interesting to me. Top 4, secure, make your order, whatever. I won't disagree with it as long as it's not Killers at number 1 anymore. And then your number 5 slot is where stuff gets interesting. We've seen people say Zone of Interest, which maybe if they love it a lot, could be our number 5. They just say 5 for 5 Best Picture. It could be Priscilla if Kaylee Spaney is strong an actress, but I will come around to your take, Matt, and put All of Us Strangers as my number 5 and adapted. It will be a solo adapted screenplay nomination from me, but it's in a lot of categories. It's like number 6, number 7, number 8. Could poke its head up, could poke its head down. I've seen people say they really don't like the ending of this movie. That would go to part of its script, and if that's a strong enough notion, then maybe this drops down. But Priscilla, I no longer seen get that nomination. Like you said, it's just too quiet of a movie. And Zone of Interest, I would like to see it for Filmball points, but it's not a conventional screenplay nomination. Spider-Verse, I don't believe in at all. Color Purple's a musical. That's why I have Origin at 10. This is deemed adapted, and the people who love it push it up because there is an open 5th slot. Maybe, but I'm not banking on that at this moment. And just looking at some other titles, I guess. Are You There, God's Me, Margaret? I don't believe that's an Oscar thing.
That's WGA?
I believe that's a WGA thing, and some of these smaller bodies for Oscars, they're not going to touch that. And after that, good luck finding something to put up here, because, like, I don't know, Gold Derby wants to say The Killer, Next Goal Wins, Dumb Money, Ferrari, Wonka.
Nyad.
I don't believe in any of those. Nyad, yeah, I don't believe in any of those. And the last one I'll mention, just because if it is a BAFTA lover and it is Netflix's new last-second push, Society of the Snow, I'm not going to put it in yet. It's a movie where I'm going to keep an eye on it, but if it starts to hit places, it will quickly jump up in my rankings.
Absolutely. Now, I think it's a bit of a boost, a bit of a glaze to put Oppenheimer at number 1 in screenplay, even behind Poor Things. Like, Oppenheimer's just not the type of movie that wins screenplay prizes. Those big epics, that's not a screenplay winner to me. And not just to me. I mean, that's the Academy. It has a proven track record of not going for that type of movie, at least since like 2014, I want to see, and they don't go American Fiction as I think that they're going to go. Then Poor Things is creative, it's original, it's outside the box, and if they're already giving Oppenheimer director, there's an avenue for them to award a very different, unique film, which is usually what the screenplay category is used for. We typically see it being for movies that are writing heavy, and when we say writing heavy, it means two things: a lot of dialogue or very creative, unique settings and ideas. And this is packed with those unique settings, unique ideas. But American Fiction, even more so, it's funny. And it makes people think about things in a way that maybe they haven't challenged themselves to think before. So to me, American Fiction is the clear number one. Even if Oppenheimer wins Best Picture, I think it loses screenplay to either Poor Things or American Fiction. But you're right, Killers of the Flower Moon should not be in win contention from anyone's predictions at this point. It's going to be nominated, but it's not going to win. I'm happy to see Strangers there. But Zone of Interest, I still feel like you need to see the movie to understand how this is not going to be a screenplay thing. That said, it did get a Gotham screenplay nomination.
Boom, boom, boom.
I don't think that matters. It was a small committee, and they just loved Zone of Interest everywhere. The writers' branch of the Academy is not going to like Zone of Interest.
I do agree that the writers' branch may not like it, but I think that people who do love it, and maybe that's the Academy at large, can maybe push it in if it's that strong. I think that
it's
it will
going to
get
be
a
like
BAFTA.
10% of the Academy that just loves it. But yeah, BAFTA, yes, you're right. This will get a BAFTA screenplay nomination, and it will be the silliest, most ridiculous nomination that they give out.
With all that being said, though, everyone let us know down below your thoughts on our predictions. Make sure to subscribe because our acting predictions are just around the corner. Drop a like, it helps people find our channel. We can continue to grow and pump these videos out for you each and every day. But until next time, my name is Dyl.
And my name is Matt, and this has been Fantasy Filmball.